Lovely to have you. And we've got Chevra in person. Shalom Aleichem to you. And thank you to the individuals, Rabbi Yonah Gerzi, for setting this up. Chasdei Hashem, Shechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu. And it's an incredible opportunity that we can come together and we could speak about this project. We are doing this webinar tonight, and we're going to share some hopefully incredibly rich ideas. And we're doing this for a reason. So either a person has watched the free series, you've watched the free series, and if you've watched the free series, you're going to come and deepen your understanding of the free series. Work how Hashem intended. It could be that you didn't see the free series. So stop what you're doing, bye, go and do the free series. No, you could stay. And you'll still get something out of this. Be'ezras Hashem, you'll still get something out of this as well, in a very, very big way. And as well, we're opening up the doors for registration for our new upcoming season. Baruch Hashem, we've got a new season for the chabura starting, and we're running for 4 or 5 months, whatever the time period is, and it's a closed door chabura, and it really helps bring us together and elevates us. Baruch Hashem, it's very, very special. And the question is, why are we doing what we're doing? So we'll explain that in a minute. That's a very important point to set our intention and understand what we are doing here. But before we do that, one of the things that we do within our chaburas is more experiential work, as well as learning marmakaimas, and we have the sources in front of us. They're read in Hebrew and they're read in English and explained, and then we speak about it. We as well do experience to help ground us, to help center us, to help bring alignment, which impacts us in tremendous ways. So before we start, for those people who this is common to, and for those people who have never experienced this before, we're going to right now do a grounding exercise. And this grounding exercise is incredibly simple. You will not be able to get it wrong. Just understand that. You won't be able to get it wrong. And if I can invite you for a moment, you can have your eyes open, you can have your eyes closed, whatever is comfortable for you. Just place your attention on your breath. And just notice your breath as it comes in. And then notice what happens when you exhale. Just gently breathe in and exhale normally. Just notice curiously what happens. And as you follow your breath, if you have your eyes closed, I'd like you to open your ears and just listen. And if your eyes are open, just look around. Listen to the loudest sounds. And listen to the quietest sounds. And if your eyes are open, and even if your mind, through your eyes being closed, just look around. Inside your mind, just think about where you are. You could look around, look at the objects that are around you. Maybe you're with people, look at the people around you. And if I can invite you to take a slightly deeper, longer breath in, and a slightly longer, deeper breath out. Okay, if I can welcome you back. Just take note of how you feel after doing that. Typically people may share they feel a bit more relaxed, a bit more centered. And Chasdei Hashem, to come into an opportunity like this and to ground ourselves and really to notice what we're doing is incredibly powerful. I'd like to share with you what our intention is. What do we do and what's our intention? So what are we? What do we do? So Work Inspired is a group of mature adults that come together in a chabura setting. That means we sit together, we come together, Everybody on whatever level knows each other, and it's not open to the public. And we sit and we speak about real things. We speak about real things to do with Parnasa, and people develop a relationship where they allow themselves to be more vulnerable. When we do, for example, inner work, avodas, we really ask questions that can create tension. We go into a situation that's very real for us, and sometimes that may hurt, but because we are with friends, we can hold each other, and it's a very beautiful experience. I've done this for a long time, and I've seen a lot of people come through our doors, and people have experienced very interesting and good growth, and it's always inspiring to see. And why did we specifically start? We have somebody here smiling. So why did we specifically start this? So Pilzno Work Inspired is specifically to do with Parnasa. It's specifically to do with understanding the interface between Torah and work, Torah and money, Torah and Gashmut. So when we look out at the world, it really pains us to see. We see a lot of people that they're frustrated with the work. Or, for example, when we look at people and we speak to people, there's a lack of simcha sachaim. They don't feel good with their work, or they feel an emptiness. There's as well a reality, because people are worn thin, believing whatever they believe about work, they make sometimes unhealthy choices. And as well, work is, for a lot of people, a disconnect from the Beis HaMedrash, it's a disconnect from Hashem. And this is very sad. This is very, very sad. Now, it is a truth that maybe a number of us have heard, and there are sources to show this, that, yes, listen, at the end of the day, my 8 hours of work is for the sole purpose of having my 1 hour of learning. There are sources that say that. But did you know, and this is what always struck me, there are so many other sources that paint a different picture when we're speaking about Parnasa, when we're speaking about work. And unfortunately, what I find is when I show people these other sources, and what's even more crazy, a lot of the time, as you'll hear from Reb Zvi as well, a lot of the time when we show people these sources, they're not obscure sources. They are sources that have been sitting in front of us for 2,000 years. And for whatever reason, they haven't been recorded by the conscious mind. People have read these words on the page, and they never actually really connected to it. And then when you do show somebody in context of a conversation to do with work, I'm typically shocked how many people turn to me and say, whoa, I never got that. I never saw that before. So for example, when I say, Lemashal, I'll just give an example. When I say that a person should love work, a person should love work. So if somebody thinks about, and I've done this a number of times, sometimes they'll respond, oh, maybe it's a Kabbalistic idea, or maybe it's this, or maybe it's that, a Midrashic idea. What about Pirkei Avot? What about Pirkei Avot in the first parak, 10th Mishnah, where we're told, Ayev es malacha, learn work, love work. We're told, Shmaya, he said, love work. So, okay, that could mean a lot of different things. So when we actually go into the different Mefarshim, you open up in a Barbanel. The Barbanel says, why doesn't it say do work? Why does it say love work? Because if it says do work, it could be that you should just do work and it should be whatever it should be. No, love work. That you should love what you do. It should be part of you. It should be part of who you are. It should be part of what you are. It should be an expression of who and what you are. And the lists of sources go on endlessly. They go on and on. And we've had so many people who have sat with us. And we've had so many people who've learnt in yeshiva. And they've learnt a certain way of looking at the world, where unfortunately, even though there is room for it, unfortunately, it downplayed for them in their life, work, and what money is, and the interaction with physicality. Then when we sit round a table and we learn these sources, people are often shocked. And it's not a situation where it's just like one or two sources. We're talking about hundreds of sources that praise work. I have a booklet and it was written about 200 years ago, and it was the son of a Hasidic Rebbe, and he happened to be a phenomenal Ilui. He knew like photographic memory, left, right, and center. He knew everything, and he wrote this booklet. And the booklet is a booklet of basically quotes, covering and spanning Tanakh, Mishnah, Bavli, Yerushalmi, Midrashim, Zohar, so on and so forth. And this book basically presents a situation where there are some 400 marmakomas that speak negatively or neutral about work, and there are over 900 marmakomas, and you list them. And today I've done actually the work where you've actually got more. 900 makoros that praise work and share the idea of work, the idea of career, having a career that matches who and what you are, the understanding and the using of money. The Torah praises it. And the Torah brings some of the most astounding ideas. That somebody, for example, who works, l'shem shamayim, it's even a higher madrega. If it wasn't written down, you wouldn't say such a thing. A higher madrega than limud haTorah, than tefillah. What? But yeah. So with that as an introduction, we wish to share with you tonight 6 drives to work. Reb Tzvi is now going to go into the 6 drives to work. And then we're going to end with an avodah. We're going to try and play and be curious and take one of the drives that we learn and then implement it into an avodah, into some sort of contemplative practice. Why? For you, for us to upgrade our lives, to live better, happier, more wholesomely. So Be'ezras Hashem, bechavod.
Okay, thank you very much, Rav Gerzi, and just to echo a tremendous amount of akarsa. So to each one of you guys that are listening to this, wherever you're listening to this, whether it's a recording, whether you're here live, that your journey is our journey. And I just want to share just a little bit about myself. Rav Gerzi and myself have been leading the work-inspired chabura for a couple of years now in its current format. We hear a little bit more about that at the end of this webinar. My journey began a little bit before then. And just so I can resonate with you, if you're here right now and you're listening to this, it's because something spoke to you to come, and something inside of you was kind of pulling at you and recognizing that, yes, I'm doing my responsibility, I'm going to work, I'm putting in my 6, my 7, my 8, of course he said 8, halavai for some people, 9, 10, 11, 12, however many hours a day you're involved in parnasa, and something's pulling inside of you that feels there must be something more to this, whether it's the feeling of emptiness, the feeling of stress. And myself, as within my own journey of being somebody who was learning in kollel and making that shift of full-time learning and going into working and having to figure out how to be able to relate to what it means to be in the workplace, has been something which has been transformational. And it's been a big schus, it's been a schus under Rav Gerzi's leadership and through the chabura that we've had to really to be able to deepen and share with you this formula that we're going to now discuss here today. Really, the 6 drives, as Gerzi just mentioned, the 6 kabanas of work, are really something that cover the whole entire gamut of the way that different people relate to work. And therefore, as you listen to these 6 kabanas, it's just really a framework. It's a Torah framework for how to be able to relate to your workday. Right? I'm sure that there are some of them you're going to hear that speak to you more than others. And that's important because we recognize that people are different. Kadosh Baruch Hu created each person differently. And while you hear one that might speak to you more than others, and for your friend and the other person listening, it might speak to him more this one, more than that one. And therefore, whatever you're speaking to you at this moment is something that you can be able to hone into. Beyond that, even within ourselves, and this is something that I've experienced, I've heard from the Bnei Chabura throughout the years, right, is that we go through different stages of our lives. It could be that at a certain stage of our career, a certain stage of our life, of what's going on in our family, right, that there's a certain intention, a kavanah for work that speaks to us. A couple of years down the road, it doesn't speak to us anymore, maybe something else speaks to you. It could be even within your own life, right, from 1 month to the next month, 1 week to the next week, right, depending on where we are and what's going on in our lives, we may relate to the different kavanas of work differently. But this framework is something which is tremendously powerful. In the chabura that Rav Gerzi mentioned before, The chabura, we go into each one of these kavanas in depth to be able to look through all the sources, not just to look through the sources, to understand what Chazal had to say, what the Rishonim, the Achronim, Bali Musar, Bali Chasidus, Kabbalah had to say about it, but to be able to really think it through. But for now, in this webinar, our intention is to be able to share with you the framework. And as you listen to what's being shared, just to reflect and see what resonates with you. If you have questions, you can type it in the chat right now. As we go through, we'll try to address it at the end, or you can write it down for yourself, or reach out afterwards. So the first kavanah for work, imagine yourself, you're showing up at your work desk, right? If you work at a desk, or you work outside, wherever you work, at your work ladder, right? The first kavanah as you start your day is that I am working today to experience kavod. To experience kavod. Now, what does it mean to experience kavod? So I think that each one of us, hopefully all of you, but I'm sure all of you at some point of your life, have experienced that natural good feeling that we get when we're earning money. The natural good feeling that we get, not just when we're earning money, but when we're earning enough money. When we're able to have that financial independence, when we're able to have our income more than our expenses, when we're able to put money away. There's this natural good feeling that we have. And from the Torah perspective, and this is a foreign idea, right? This is a foreign idea too. The other one. Sure. Okay. No problem. Okay, I have to make sure that all the chaver can hear us well. That's better? Okay, perfect. This concept of working to experience a sense of kavod might be foreign to many people. Often from having this conversation, people feel that if I'm feeling this sense of like feeling good, like when I'm doing it, like when I'm making the money, maybe that's a certain sense of gaiva. A certain sense of gaiva, like it's me, it's not a Kadosh Baruch Hu. But really the Torah reveals something very profound, right? Is that obviously Kadosh Baruch Hu is always in the picture, but there is a very certain basic level of kavod atzmi, right? That is so integral to being Adam, what it means to be an Adam, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu created, how Hashem envisioned that you should function, to be able to feel that sense of dignity and feel that good feeling that comes with being financially independent. And being able to tap into this kavanah means that when we work to be able to experience that sense of kavod is not just something that we do because we work to make money because we have to, but we're able to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's mamash devar ruchani ma'od. So that's the first kavanah. When we move over to the second kavanah for working, the second kavanah is that I'm working to experience menuchas nefesh. When you start your day, I'm working today. Why am I working? It's a question that we always challenge Bnei Chabura to think about, to ask yourself before you start your day, why am I working today? What's real for me right now? So the second kavanah that the Torah speaks about is working for menuchas nefesh. And I think that we all could relate to this idea that when we see the money coming in, when we see the savings is there, when we see the pension plan, right? When we see that we have this financial security, it helps us to experience menuchas nefesh. At the same time, while it seems so pashut, I know that a lot of the people on this call are b'nei avodah, people that are interested in avodas Hashem, right? Often may think, well, what, if I'm feeling more menuchas nefesh because I have money, perhaps that's some type of a stira to my bitachon. Right? If I really had bitachon in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if I really felt a sense of trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, maybe that's not necessarily important, the fact that I should feel a sense of menuchas nefesh. Menuchas nefesh, which means a sense of feeling safe, to feel secure, to be able to experience a sense of serenity, right? Not just consciously up here, but as we speak about in the chabura, menuchas nefesh is something that we feel within our physiology, right? The way that we breathe, the way that we function. We know what it's like to feel stressed, right? So we know what it's like to feel when we feel calm. So to recognize that from the Torah perspective, and we go into the chabura, we go through this in depth to see mamish Chazal. This is mamish the Gemara that speaks beferish, that praises the fact, the impact that having money helps us for menuchas nefesh. It helps us to be able to be better people, helps us within our limanat Torah, helps us within our relationship. So to have that simple kavanah, right, that I'm working today so that I should be able to experience menuchas nefesh. And to be able to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu through that kavanah, to recognize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants that. That's the second kavanah. When we get to the third kavanah of work, here we have a shift. When we meet the third kavanah of why we work, we're making a shift from what we describe as an extrinsic reason for working, in which we're working so that therefore through the work we have the money, and that the money helps us to be able to experience kavod, the money helps us to be able to experience menuchas nefesh. To the third kavanah for work is that we should be able to experience self-actualization. And this intrinsic kavanah, which is so essential, means that it's not that I work as a means for a goal, but rather it's the work itself, that through the work I'm able to experience that deep sense of satisfaction and fulfillment that comes from a person who's actualizing themselves through the work that they're doing.
And that was the Pirkei Avot that we were reading, Ohev.
Ohev Hashem Melach.
Love the work that you do, and it's not just do the work, you
It's
should love it.
love the work. And definitely, and I know that somebody chabura and some people over here reached out before. This is something which people struggle with, right? Because many people find themselves in jobs where they find that their job is misaligned. Perhaps the job that they're doing, they're spending 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day, is something that doesn't give them a sense of self-actualization. And although that's a struggle, and let's be real, right? If you're on this call and you've experienced this, you know what that feeling of emptiness is. You know what that feeling of just feeling like I feel like I'm just pushing through and pushing through and pushing through, but I'm not experiencing simcha sachaim through what I'm doing. But there are people that there's a school of thought that from a Torah perspective, it doesn't make a difference. That from a Torah perspective, to feel actualization through one's work perhaps is a goyish idea, right? To feel this concept of a career, the concept that a person should feel a sense of fulfillment through the actual work of what you're doing is a Western idea, right? It comes from people that have no concept of Torah, that their whole entire mahus, their whole entire essence is just about their job. The truth is radically different. As we go through the Mar Makobos in the chabura, is that we find that Chazal stay totally opposite from the Gemara, right, from the Rishonim, as explained that actually the sense of pride that you feel, the sense of pride that you feel through your work is the Torah ideal. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to feel that love. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to feel that energy. Right? We know when we work in something which we're self-actualized, we enjoy the work and it energizes us as opposed to depleting all of our energy. So that's the third kavanah. Why am I working today? I'm working here today so that I should be able to experience self-actualization through the next 6, 7, 8 hours of my day. The fourth kavanah of working is that I'm working today to develop. I'm working today, be'ezus Hashem, so that I can express being a shliach in Hashem's world, so that I can fulfill my unique mission, my unique shlichus that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent me to accomplish. Now this is the clue of the fourth kavanah of work. This is a huge game changer. Because when we're able to experience mission-driven work, when we're able to experience a very deep sense of why, of recognizing that why I'm involved in what I'm doing, right, is beyond the money, right, and beyond the menuchas nefesh, and beyond the kavod, and even beyond the self-actualization, that good feeling that I get from fulfillment, but to recognize that through the job that I'm doing, through the job that you do every single day, that you are playing out your unique shlichus into the world, as a partnership with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, that is mamish the deepest of the deep. That is actually what Adam is looking for. It's even spoken about today in the secular world, about the difference of a person who's mission-driven and not mission-driven. Now, many people would think, if you're coming from a Torah background, that sounds totally foreign. My unique shlichus in the world, that's about my Torah, that's about my mitzvahs, that's about my shalom bayis, that's about my chinuch, that's about my chesed. What is working in high tech, right? And what is working in painting? And what is working in real estate have anything to do with my shlichus? That's my mission. That's my partnership with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. But when you look at what the Torah actually has to say, once again going back to midrashic sources, psukim, that are clearly stating that from the beginning of Bereshis, from the beginning of our relationship with the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this is what Hashem entrusted. Hashem entrusted you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu entrusted mankind with work as part of our partnership with Hashem to fulfill our mission. So when you're able to embody that fourth kavanah of work, it's a total game changer of how you experience your day. When we shift over to kavanah number 5, and this one, So we move up the kavanas. For some of you, this may seem pashut, but from our experience speaking to hundreds of people about this, right? Each one, perhaps, for people that are classically think that work is just about money, these ideas seem radical. So here's the fifth kavanah. The fifth kavanah of work is that Be'ezus Hashem, I am working today. You're standing at your workday, at your work desk. I am working today so that I can develop my expertise in my profession and contribute to making my field even better in the world. Now that sounds very anti-Jewish. That sounds like, what does that have to do with ruchnius, right?
You have just to repeat that again. Yeah, you hear what was being... No, you missed it? Again, just to say it again, that you're working at or with a particular career, and your betterment of your career is for the job arena itself.
Right, not for yourself, right?
Not for yourself, for the job itself. So if you're an electrician and you're bettering being an electrician, and you can give to the community of electricians, that's a Torah ideal.
Right, this is mamish a flip.
You have?
Most people would assume, right, that we learn a profession, as Gerzi is saying, as a cash cow, right? We learn a profession, so therefore I become an accountant, so that therefore, through accountancy, that will help me to make money, whatever that's going to do for you. Here, what we're speaking about, and this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from us, right? This is working the way Hashem intended. HaKadosh Baruch Hu entrusted us to do this. Hashem said to us, my children, this is what I entrust you to do, is that the way that we relate to our work is that I show up every day, is that I want to work so that therefore I am going to make my profession better off than it was before I came into the world. I have contributed to my profession, and I am making the construction better. I am making medicine better, right? I am making business better. I am making marketing better, right? And once again, this is an idea that classically people would think, what does it have to do with Hashem? If anything, right, investing our time towards professional development and trying to be able to become even better what I'm doing, that's bittul Torah, right? If I'm interested in ruchnius, I'm trying to do the minimal that I can. Just kind of get it done as much as I can, and then focus on what really counts. And what we're seeing is that the Torah wants us, the Torah expects of us to be able to look at this differently, right? And to recognize, right, that working the way Hashem intended means that we want to be able to nurture our actual profession and make it better than it was before we entered into the arena. It's mamish. For some people, this seems like totally radical, nothing. But this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. This is what Chazal say. It's mind-boggling. The Torah says that we should love our work. The Torah says we should relate to our work and care about our work, so the sense of responsibility to care for it. So now we come to the sixth kavanah, right? The sixth kavanah of work, as we show up each day, Be'ezus Hashem, right, is that I'm working today so that therefore I should be able, right, to be involved in the highest tikkunim. Gerzi mentioned it before, right? In the highest tikkunim within myself, tikkunim within the olam asiyah, tikkunim in the ilamos, right? To being able to bring the greatest nachas ruach to Hashem through the tikkunim that I do in work. Right? When we look at work this way, it's a totally different game changer. Right? For the person who's entered this webinar thinking that mamish, that work is the anti-ruchnius, right? My ruchnius ends when I leave my daf yomi shir. My ruchnius ends when I leave the Beis Medrash, and then I go into work. Right? To approach work from this space of recognizing that I'm involved in work, and this is not just an idea, this is the way that I'm able to function. This is the way that you actually relate to your job, is what the Torah says, is to be involved in tikkunim. Once again, many people would classically say, what does tikkunim have to do with spreadsheets? What does tikkunim have to do with coding apps? What does tikkunim have to do with AI? But what we see clearly, going back, Pnimiyas Torah speaks about it in depth, spoken through the ages, speaking about the fact that what's actually taking place when we know what we're doing and we understand what work is about, as Rav Gerzi said, is bringing greater nachas ruach to HaKadosh Baruch Hu on some level more than classic Torah v'mitzvahs, which is crazy. So there you go, guys. 6 kavanas. 6 kavanas. So we asked before, see what resonates with you. Each one of them are tremendously powerful. You may have noticed that there wasn't one kavana that said, I am working today to make money. You guys noticed that? There wasn't one kavana there. There wasn't one kavana, I'm working today to make money, which I think is the number one kavana that people have. If you ask a guy, stop a good yid and say, why are you working today? To make money, right? That's to make money. Now it's interesting, obviously money is part of the picture. But as we see, and we will see Be'ezus Hashem, the Baal Shem Tov and the Talmidei Baal Shem Tov explain this in the most powerful way, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did design that money and work are connected. They are connected. But it's actually the misunderstanding of the relationship, which is what's feeding the curse of work. When a person thinks and he walks around, and once again, let's be real and honest, it could be you've been doing this for 10, 15 years, guys. That I think that the only reason why I'm working is for money, that's coming because of the curse of work. That is a person who's manifesting the curse of work. But we have to understand that money and work are intertwined, but to say that the purpose of work is just to make money is saying like the purpose of our relationship with our wife and the purpose of our relationship with our kids is just for money. If that sounds foreign to you, the purpose of our relationship with the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is just for money. The purpose of our relationship with the Torah is just for money. If that sounds foreign for you, and to recognize that to say such a statement that the sole purpose of work is just for money is mamish foreign. So when we're able to take these 6 kavanas, and whichever kavana it is that speaks more to you, to be able to start to work with that, to recognize that when you're able to internalize and embody that kavana at work, you're able to experience work with more energy. You're able to experience work with more simcha. You're able to experience work with a lot of excitement, with slavas, with Deveikus, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's simply, chabura, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu intended. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu always had in mind. It just seems that somewhere along the process, this message about how HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted us to work got lost. So how do we create this shift? Right? How do we be able to not just hear these ideas that you're hearing right now and to be able to make a tremendous shift within our experience? Yes?
I want to just say over again very quickly the 6 shifts.
Yeah.
I want to say it.
Yeah.
For me, just the fact I'm working to experience kavod. I'm working to experience kavod. It's a crazy matzav. So I'm allowed to feel good at work. I'm allowed to feel good at work. I'm working to experience menuchas hanefesh. Okay, that's like fine. Okay, that makes sense to me. I should have menuchas hanefesh. Good. I'm working for self-actualization. So as well, that's interesting because that means I really have to look at my koichas hanefesh. I have to look at my skills and talents, and I have to make sure that actually I am doing what's good for me. In my life, that was the Biala Rebbe. The Biala Rebbe, my tati took me to the Rebbe, the Biala Rebbe, and he sat and we figure out, okay, what are your skills and talents? How can you better express yourself? I'm working at work to be mamash a shliach, an agent, to be deeply connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, co-creation with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's as well very powerful. I'm developing myself at work so I can help and contribute to my profession. It's beautiful. And in regards to the sixth, I'm working to bring physical and spiritual, which is really one and the same. Physical and spiritual is one and the same. Beautification, healing, and fixing to this world. It's amazing. I wanted to go through it again. I want to add another point with Rishus Rapsi. I want to add another point. So there's 2 sides to this. One side to this, you can have an individual that came from yeshiva, or from seminary, and they get married, they get on in their life, and they're holding these funny duddy ideas. So for sure, these ideas are very therapeutic, and everything that we learn, it's all in Shas Poskim. There's Sifrei Halacha, Sfarim of Kabbalah, Sfarim of Musa. There's many Bali Tshuva as well that are fed up with work, but there's a lot of people that enjoy work. And there's a number of people when they come to the chabura, so there's definitely a conversation how to understand and enjoy your work with the Torah lens as well, which I think is very, very, very important. So just to have these, I'm just thinking about it myself as I sit here right now. It's chizuk. So now, sorry for interrupting you.
It's,
And now,
thank you for
back over
taking.
to Rav Tzvi and the shifts in how we actually go.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Gerzi, for repeating those 6. And Bezrat Hashem, I think we're going to be sending out, courtesy of Yoni, we're sending out a PDF that you guys will be able to have that visually in front of you, these 6 kavanas, because for me, and for us, and some of the chaver here, this is like, yeah, of course, 6 kavanas of work, but I think just to reflect and to hear it all together, again, thank you very much. But we want to hear it, right? And maybe you're inspired by at least one of these kavanas. Feel validated the fact that the Torah actually says something which you felt like, of course, some people feel like, I knew that's what it was, but I didn't realize that was a Torah idea. And to give you a hook, to be able to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to something that otherwise you felt was like the dark side of life, or the thing that was like not kosher about your life, or something which was not connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and to be able to plug that in, which could create a total change. So how do we create an actual shift? So there's a 3-step process, right? That in the world of Pilzno and in the work-inspired chabura and the greater base measures that we focus on, right? Which is time and tested with hundreds, if not thousands, of individuals. And the 3-step process is the first step we're probably most familiar with, which is information, right? It's to see sources, and seeing sources inside is so much more powerful than hearing. And therefore, we always encourage even people that listen to the chabura on the go to try to be able to look at the sources. We provide them in English and Hebrew. See the words of the Torah. The light, the aura that comes out of the words of the Torah makes an impact on you. Not just to hear the words, but to think about them. And to be challenged and think about what that actually means to me. But that's all part of number 1. And for many people who have attended shiurim, learned through svarim, that's where it ends. And perhaps that's often why a lot of inspiration just gets left in inspiration. The second stage of creating a shift is being able to practice different techniques that are able to create transformation. And this is the world of the Bali Musar, the Bali Avaida, the Bali Chasidus, right? Where they were inflamed, and their mission is that Torah is not something which stays up here. It's that mission of Vayedata Hayom Shivata Livavecha. And that just doesn't happen by necessarily reading a book or hearing us to here today. You guys know that from your own experience. So when we're able to experience different avodas, we had a bit of a taste. We're going to do an avodah Bezos Hashem at the end of this webinar to give you more of a taste of just one avodah that's done. Avodas help us to be able to take that which we heard and that which we know, and to be able to clear out that which is blocking us. And the third ingredient is being able to have mentorship, so that you're able to personalize that which you learn. Because in any topic that you learn, right, there's many ideas. The question really that makes the most difference for you is, where does that actually meet you? And the ability, and this has been the Messiah of Am Yisrael forever, right, to have mentorship, Aseh l'charav. And therefore, when you take the information, right, and this is what we do in the chabura, right, within the work-inspired chabura, we implement this process of Be'ezus Hashem, as we're going to be starting this 5-month journey soon. Be'ezus Hashem, what we implement within the chabura is this 3-step process of having the opportunity to look at each one of these 6 kavanas, to be able to look at the Mar Makomos. We challenge you to be able to think about them. We challenge you to reflect and realize, how is this resonating with me? Like, am I excited about this, or am I experiencing some sort of type of tension that doesn't sit right for me? And then, why is that the case? Why is there a tension? What belief system might you be having? How are you experiencing work today, and how does that meet the 6 kavanos? So these are the sources that we learn. Then avodas that are going to be able to guide you to get a greater clarity within yourself, and learn the mechanism of how we function. Right? In the chabur, we speak about the mechanism of understanding the architecture of the soul, to understand the role, the different soul parts that we have, consciousness, to understand how learning takes place and how change takes place, and to be able to guide you through avodas, to plug in whatever you're learning in a way that it's going to be able to make a shift in your life. And the third component is the component of mentorship. And through mentorship, beyond the classes that are taught from Rav Gerzi and myself, we're thinking about one thing. We're thinking about, and we go through conversations, going through the names of all the B'nai Chabura. Where are they holding? How is this meeting them in their life with what they're going through? And we understand that people are going through different stages of their careers. different kavanas that are coming up for them. So when you have that personalized mentorship, to be able to make it real for you, that is ultimately what's going to be able to create the shift. So Be'ezus Hashem, as Rav Gerzi mentioned before, this webinar, our intention was to really open up your eyes to the way Hashem wants you to work. Be'ezus Hashem, there's going to be the opportunity, right, in the coming week, starting on May 12th, right, a 5-month journey that we're going to be taking together. Right, the chabura is a chabura which is closed. It only opens up twice a year. We've had people that have been with us for 6 months, for a year and a half, or 2 years. And there's an opportunity to be able to join the chabura. And in this chabura, we're going to go through this 3-step process as we go through the topics. The chabura will be running between May 12th and September 15th. We're taking a break during the summer for our Bein HaZmanim. And the way that we design the chabura, and this is something that we've spent so much time thinking about because we recognize the importance of each person being able to really benefit from it in a way that works for them, is that it's flexible. So whether or not a person wants to be able to tune into the chabura, practically we offer 2 classes a week. So starting May 12th, there's 2 classes a week that we deliver. We don't have one every single day. We want people to be able to digest the information, to think about the information, to be able to make it real for you. And the idea is that the classes that are offered on Sundays and Tuesdays, for those that are able to tune in live, so that's going to be either in Ramat Beit Shemesh if we live in Eretz Yisrael. We have people that zoom in from around the world. It's given at 8:10 p.m. in Eretz Yisrael time, 1:10 p.m. for most of the year in New York time, Eastern Standard Time. And the idea is that it should be flexible and it should work for you. So whether it works for you to come live, or whether it's the listening to the recordings that are sent out, the audio, the video, right? And we have chevra, I speak to chevra, right, that are listening to this while they're going running, people that are listening to this while they're going to work, people are listening to this, I'm saying on Matei Shabbos, people that will listen to shiurim a week just to be able to catch up. Right? This is oxygen, chevra, for anyone who's working. And we designed the program in a way that it's structured, it moves, right? We don't sit on a topic forever. You'll see a curriculum. I'm sure the curriculum will be posted here today in the webinar, but we'll be sending it out to you. You can see the gamut of what we're going to be covering Be'ezus Hashem over the 5 months. At the same time, to be able to have the flexibility so that whatever is going on in your life right now, that you're able to implement this and to be able to gain the max. In terms of the personalization, and this is something that we've upgraded over the last year, really wanting to make sure that each one of you are able to get the most for where you are actually in your life, is beyond the actual classes, right? Every other week to have the opportunity to have a strategy session with Rabbi Gerzi or myself, to be able to meet up one-on-one and to start talking about where you're up to, like what's going on in your life, like what are you experiencing at work? Where's your pain point? Is your pain point about the menuchas nefesh? Is your pain point, right, about not feeling self-actualization? To speak about the marmakomos, to speak about the avodas that we're doing, to see where you're getting caught up on, and to be able to tailor the learning program for you specifically. So the personalization element, and there's a community element as well for chevra that are looking for community. Some people just participate, they listen on their own. Energetically, they're connected to the community. There's some people that for them, the community has been a huge game changer. So whether they're coming in live or whether we have an exclusive WhatsApp group connecting during the week, right, sending out reminders, sending out extra content, people discussing questions, looking at Mara Makomos. What we've created, B'siyata D'Shmaya, it's been tremendously powerful, is a community, as Rav Gerzi said, a community of people that are looking to sincerely grow in their avodas Hashem through Parnasa, and it gives a space for a person who's looking to experience change and growth to be able to do that also together with the support of amazing B'nai Chabura from all different professions, stages of careers, different countries really coming together. That's something which is tremendously powerful. The last principle that I'll speak about, and then we'll jump into an avodah Rav Gerzi is prepared to give you a bit of a way to take that what you've learned today and to be able to make it more real, is that we've noticed that people pay attention when they pay. And what that means is that this is not a chabura for people that are just interested in many shiurim out there. You can listen to podcasts. Baruch Hashem, we've seen throughout the years many podcasts, many discussions, articles that come out. They give a nice idea and they inspire you for about 45 seconds, a few minutes, maybe a few days, and then it settles. The chabura is designed in a way in which it creates accountability and creates a structure and framework for you to be able to grow. What you put in is what you're going to be able to get out of it. And part of that is investing in the chabura. The chabura is a paid membership. The chabura, as we mentioned before, it's a 5-month program at $118 per month or 350 shekels per month. And the chabura is structured in that way so that people are able to invest. And we've seen the tremendous difference in people that are investing. There are scholarships available. So if you're listening to this and this is something which you know is going to help you, but paying the full fee is something which is not possible for right now, don't allow that to hold yourself back. Reach out to us. There are scholarships. We've had Bnei Chabura that have sponsored other people in the Bnei Chabura to be part of the Chabura because they believe in it. They want each person to be able to experience working the way Hashem intended. So if you have questions about the Chabura, hold on to it for a minute. Maybe Gerzi will guide us through a little bit of an avodah, and then we'll wrap up with some questions that people have about the chabura, about what we've spoken about here today.
Wonderful. Chazda Hashem. So a simple, straightforward avodah that we can do. And again, it's so important to understand you cannot do anything wrong. You can't do anything wrong. Maybe you can, or maybe you can, or maybe you as well. No, okay. Can't do anything wrong. And this is something incredibly important to remember, to recognize. And what we'll do, let's take number 4. Kavana number 4. So we said kavana number 4 is being in partnership with the Creator, being in partnership with divine intelligence, and that we're co-creating. When I'm going out to work, I am co-creating. So now we've heard that as an idea. And okay, we've said it twice. I'm bringing it up a third time. But how do you start to take that as an idea and you start to own it? So if someone's done any sort of personal growth before, Chazda Hashem, there are so many different ways of starting to achieve a transitioning from cerebral to experience. And we're going to pick one. And you can either write this down, or I'm going to as well add a couple of different dimensions to this. So if you would like to write it down, you just write, I am a co-creator with Hashem through my work. I'm a co-creator with Hashem through my work. You could either write that down, or you could just hear the words. You can hear the words. I'm a co-creator with Hashem as I work. I'm a co-creator with Hashem as I work. And you could repeat that a couple of times. What you can do is add the following. Either as you write this down, or if you're doing it without writing it down, you're repeating it. The Talmud Devara, Reb Moshe Kardaviro, the Talmud Devara, he writes in the second part of the Talmud Devara that a smile is an aspect of what we call Keser, which is one of the highest spiritual doorways. Keser is a very high spiritual level. How do you tap into it? So he writes smile. You smile. Smiling is absolutely profound. You put a smile on your face. From a physiological perspective, you are now creating a doorway inside to allow in whatever you want to allow in. Very, very profound. So you can have a smile, and you can repeat, as I work, I'm in partnership with Hashem. As I work, I'm in partnership with Hashem. And you could start to repeat it. You could repeat it in your head, or you could let the sentence, this affirmation, pass your lips. So if you are doing it without sharing anything as in sounds, big smile on your face. Wow, I'm hearing in my head loudly, I am, as I work, in partnership with the divine. Wow. And if you want, you can intensify it even more. You can close your eyes. Put a big smile on your face. And you could repeat, I, as I work, am in partnership with the divine. I, as I work, am in partnership with the divine. And you could gently move your body. I, as I work, and in partnership with the divine. And you could, if you would like, start to emotionalize what you are doing, to intensify it even more. As I work, I am in partnership with the divine. As I work, I'm in partnership with the divine. As I work, yes, my job, I'm in partnership with the divine. Wow, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As I work, I'm in partnership with you. As I work, I'm in partnership with you. As I work, I'm in partnership with you. If you want to rest for a moment, you can take a deep breath in. As I work, I'm in partnership with you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Thank you. As I work, I'm in partnership with you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So you have these different gradients. So if you'd like, pick one, you can just write it down. If you want, you can put the smile on your face as you write. As you write and you have the smile, you can allow yourself to say it. If you want, you can just say it with a big smile on your face, an affirmation. Emotionalize what you do. And that's what a belief is. That's how we start to change and develop emunot. An emunah, belief, is an emotionalized thought repeated. And when we emotionalize it and we intensify it, it becomes a deep-rooted belief. So I become excited, I'm alive, I'm in love with the fact, Rabbanu Shalom, wow, Hashem, I am co-creating with you. I'm co-creating with you. So this was an avodah, this was a technique used in the Mussar world. I learned this technique from Reb Yitzchak Grudzinski and Reb Mordechai Zuckerman, and it's really powerful, and it's fun. It's fun and it's powerful. And there's chabura chevra here who we've done very intense works just using this, dancing around, jumping up and down, and recording ourselves and laughing at ourselves as we send it to each other. But this form of avodah is really, really incredible. And I invite you, if you would like, take one of the beliefs, take one of the kavanot, the intentions that we've gone through today. You're going to be sent a beautiful PDF. Hopefully you'll get it. I don't know when they'll get it now. When will they get the PDF?
With the recording.
Yeah.
After the recording, hopefully you'll get this PDF.
Days.
And now, within a few days, and now I've shared with you a way to take it from just a cerebral experience into an embodied experience. And I think I'm just going to ask somebody, Reb Simcha Zissel, Nachon, what do you say about doing affirmations and dancing around? It makes a difference?
Yeah, definitely.
Come. You're being you be quiet over there. You're coming next now.
Get
Now
him
the
a chair,
dafka.
get him a chair.
Beautiful.
Okay.
So what
Yeah.
when you do
So
these
simcha is part
avodas,
of the chabura. Give him intro.
Shalom. I would just say that one thing that came up as Rebbe was talking about it right now was that Rebbe's language was changing, because that's what he wanted to say in the next sentence, and it's the same concept, but I'm here. As I'm talking, I'm having different realizations into the words. It's almost like I'm bringing something from here into my body, and then I'm feeling it, and that feels good. Let me say that again. That feels right, and that didn't feel right. Let me say it a little differently. And it's almost like training myself. And Bichlal, just to take a moment to realize, like sitting by my desk with my coworker and my difficulty with this type of Excel, and I don't like this new AI shtick, and hold on, in my work, I'm partnering with Hashem. It's like, wow, I feel like it could bring a lot of light into any nuanced place that I find myself in.
Beautiful.
Okay, so let's do this. We're looking at the time. We're going to keep Reb Simcha. You can stay. Let's. Reb Simcha is one of the bnei chabura, of part of the chabura for some time with us. So we'd just like to open up the floor. You guys have been very patient. If Chevra have questions, either about the chabura, We tried to cover the basics. B'ezras Hashem will send out more information in the website. The curriculum is available. You can look to see
In the Zoom
each
chat,
one of the
some
classes and
information was
details, B'ezras Hashem. But for now, if anyone has a question live about the chabura, about the process, about what we've discussed, we'd open the floor for a few minutes and give out opportunity. So you could unmute yourself if you'd like. Maybe just say your name and where you are zooming in from, just so we could connect to you a little bit more.
There were some written comments as well.
Yeah, there were some written comments. I know there were also some questions that were submitted before, so we wanted to give a priority to live ones here. Let's see.
Can I ask just hi? I know
Hi,
I'm
Shalom,
female, so
Shalom, welcome.
issues. Hi. I know that this is mainly for geared towards men, and you are considering opening it for women. I just that's as a separate point. Can you just pinpoint, please, when you say experience covered, what does covered mean in this context? Because covered to me is something I've been taught always is something you should always run away from. It's something you should it's something that is a dangerous thing. Can you define what covered is in this context?
Wow. So,
Brilliant.
what's your name?
Yeah, L. Latchman.
Okay. Thank you for the question. Yeah. So this is something that I'm been together with you on this, and if it wasn't for seeing Mar Makomas that clearly said the other way, it totally rocked my world. I mean, it's true that the kavod is generally given in the context of something to run away from, but the kavod that we're speaking about, and the Maral speaks about it in a very strong language, is that there's a basic kavod that a person feels. And Maral says, you know what it feels like, you know what it doesn't. That's what his language is. You know what it feels like. When a person feels a sense of being independent, being financially independent, not depending on other people, and that through us being able to function in that way, that allows us to be able to receive the light of Hashem in the way that Hashem wants it to be received. So that sense of feeling good, that natural feeling that a person feels when they need to rely on other people and it feels yucky, there's something to that. And therefore the sense of kavod, the unhealthy kavod, it's a bigger topic. The unhealthy kavod is when a person is looking for their sense of value from things that are external, other people's opinions, other things. We've gone to this in the chabura as well, but what's being spoken about over here is that the basic need of a person to feel independent, and that kavod that comes with it is a davar ruchani ma'od. Davar ruchani ma'od. It's not something to run away from.
It's a very
You would say
healthy form of ego. It's a very healthy form of ego. We don't become a schlepper. We're not meant to be a schlepper. We're meant to have a good sense of self, and that good sense of self is a godly revelation. So there is a kavod which is unhealthy and unhelpful, and there is a kavod that is truly helpful and healthy.
Should be
it's like self dignity as opposed to glory.
Exactly, beautifully said. Thank you.
Okay.
Very, very good. Can we write that down, please? Can you write that down?
Self-dignity of
Instead of glory. Dignity instead of glory. Thank you very, very much.
Okay, are there any other questions? Any other questions from the crowd over here today?
The nudnik that doesn't want to be asked the questions.
Yeah.
He wants to come? What's
But,
the question?
hey, if this is his question, we have a couple of other questions here as well. One second, that kind of came in
Two
before.
questions.
Okay. So what we're going to do is this. This just, I think, is a question. Rabbi Yaakov, we'll get to your question in a moment. The question I just want to ask before I see there's I think another comment came up over there as well. Is just regarding the chabura. People have often asked this question of what type of Torah background does a person need to have in order to be able to connect what's being shared? Is this like more of like a Hasidus sort of type of thing, more of a Litvish sort of type of thing? People that, Rabbi, you mentioned Bali Tshuva, or people coming from this background. What type of background would a person need in order to be able to benefit from what's being shared?
So background, I'll break it up into two because I'm just not fully sure of the question. Background is in learning. So this chabura is geared up for somebody who has some sort of learning. We read and translate as much as we can, but even as you heard within the conversation here, there's a certain sprach, there's a certain way religious Jews tend to speak, coming from a background of yeshiva, and we do tend to speak in that language. So as long as a person has some sort of language of Yiddishkeit and some sort of learning, they're going to thrive. It's a beautiful program. So if somebody's learned for even half a year or a year in yeshiva, and they've got some sort of background of Yiddishkeit, of Judaism and Torah Judaism, so that's the level that we're speaking about. As I said, we don't have Maramakomis here. I'll show you. Can you get one of the Maramakomis sheets in the thing, just to give you just to show you how it's broken down. The second part I want to share is that we are coming. There's a mix. We are fully aware that people come from different hashkafas. People come from different hashkafot. I just want to show you here. I don't even know if I can send this to you. But Lamashal, this is from one of our classes. I don't know if you can see this, but just to talk through the class number, Netzach and Divine Vision. This is all in English, and then we bring a Marmakom of Israel, Parashat Noach. We bring the Lashon HaKodesh, the Hebrew. Then we bring the English. And typically, the way we work is Reb Tzvi reads it out and translates it, and then we speak about it. How did you hear this Marmakom? So you don't have to have a knowledge of how to read, so to speak, so well. It's really coming in and just understanding the cultural language. And for sure, those people who don't understand something, just tell us. The other point is a very important point. So it's a mix. Everything we bring from the world of the Litaim, we bring from the Sfadim, we bring from the Hasidim, we bring a mix. We typically start from early Makorot. So when we have a Gemara or a Pasuk, we'll bring a Pasuk, a Gemara, then we'll bring certain Rishonim and Achronim through the historical evolution of whatever we're speaking about. And then we will go into what the Vilna Gaon says, the Ramchal, the Chida, the Baal Shem Tov, if there's a Zohar, if there's an Arizal, etc., etc. So we cover a gamut of different hashkafot, and even the way we present Kabbalistic ideas, this is the tradition that I received from my teachers, we try to make them as practical and real in our experience as possible. Let me just ask you, Rabbi Yaakov, we've just now done the 6 weeks of the Sfirot. Did we explain it in a way that was rational and actually pragmatic?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
So I just wanted to,
Yes.
I wanted to know for myself, because we very much tried to do that. So I hope that's answering that question.
I would just,
answering that question.
Yeah, just one quick I'll just add on to that, is that we've seen over the past couple of years that people are coming from different backgrounds. And the chabura is designed in a way that it's able to meet people where they are. So, for example, there are many marmakomas that could be brought within the context of the class, is because we try to give focus for opportunities of conversations and to be able to delve deep into it. We won't necessarily go through the full marmakom. We always invite, and we've had many conversations we've had conversations that take place throughout the week in the WhatsApp group, where people will go and look at more marmakomos or look at the full marmakom. So for people that are more advanced, a person shouldn't feel like that there isn't something for what to gain, or whatever level you're at. Because he was explaining that for people that may feel like they don't have such a strong background, that we make it accessible, and then for wherever you are to be able to meet you, and that's part of the one-on-one conversations as well. If you feel like you want to bring something else that's come to the table, that's something that we'll discuss with you.
May I say something, Rabbi?
Please, Rabbi Gerzi.
May I say something? If there are things that even me, if I don't understand, I ask the rabbis what they mean. And this is the only way to learn. If you don't understand, you ask. And this is how you learn and progress in life. Because we are not all learned. We learn.
Very good.
Okay.
I'll add just one more point as well. I know that a number of ladies have been in touch with us. So we are number one, the learning that we're doing for the men would be pretty much the same for the women. It's a rigorous understanding of what we're doing. It's really trying to be serious about our learning and our interaction with Parnasa, with work. So when there is a women's program, hopefully we'll work on that and we'll for sure let you know. But it won't be any less rigorous, Be'ezras Hashem.
Okay, so I just, being conscious at the time, I see a couple of questions that came in around a similar topic, so I'm gonna mention both of them, and we'll try to be able to address it. And the questions are straight out, because these are deep topics that require a deeper excavation. So the question was around Kavana number 2. Kavana number 2, which is Kavana number 2 is that I'm working, so I should be able to experience Menuchas Nefesh. So one question that came in is how can one experience Menuchas Nefesh when the Parnasa is insufficient for your wants and needs? So that was one question. And I just want to mention the second question just to be able to experience Baruch Hashem, how different people experience things differently. It's a question that came in over here. So I can scroll up because it was someone's question before. It was a different lady.
I'm very excited about all of this stuff. This is really
Okay.
good.
So we have over here a comment that came in that I'm disagreeing with the statement that says financial stability provides menuchas nefesh required for spiritual growth. Spiritual growth can happen for people who suffer poverty. If someone is financially suffering, then it's reasonable to figure out that this is his need for spiritual growth. After all, Hashem gives us exactly what we need for spiritual growth. So if I just to reframe the second question, and then I'll try to connect the two questions and take a shot at answering them both together, is that the second question, this comment that came in, thank you very much, Malka, for disagreeing with us and for challenging us. We always appreciate pushback. In a chabura, we say it all the time, and Baruch Hashem, through the last couple of years, the chabura has only grown and our content has become even better because of all the pushback. So what I would say is this, the question I understood is that we said a statement that the kavana is to have menuchas nefesh, which is what I need for my spiritual growth. And how could that be? Because maybe we see that poverty can lead to spiritual growth, and if that's a situation that a person's in, so then that's what they need. So the kavana is, maybe we'll have to clarify the kavana more. It is true to say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides what we need, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu has our plan for where we're going to get our spiritual growth. And therefore, as a Baal Emunah, as a Baal Bitachon, right, if a person's in a situation where they don't have their spiritual growth to be found within not having. And there are Makomos that speak about poverty. We just spent the last 5-6 months discussing about financial abundance and wealth. And we talked about this idea. There are Makomos that speak about poverty, and not just poverty, a person who's struggling, and there's tremendous amounts of financial growth to be found in that. The reason why we highlighted this Chavana is the following: is that there is a belief or a thought process, and I've subscribed to it as well, right? That if I feel that having more money and having more financial stability would help me to experience menuchas nefesh, that if that's a ratzon of mine, if that's a desire deep down in my heart that I don't really want to tell my friends, right, or that's something that I could communicate to Hashem, would be an inappropriate tefillah, because, well, what do you mean? Like, I should be able to experience my growth without the money. I'll be able to experience without that. Right, so to counter that thought, to think that that's something which is inappropriate and inaligned with a Torah perspective, right, that's where Kavanah 2 number comes in, because Kavanah number 2 comes in, and we spoke about this, the Gemara speaks about it, it's discussed through the commentators on the Gemara, is that there's a recognition of the fact that when we have more financial bandwidth and we have more money, that it helps us to experience menuchas nefesh, and that if we don't have our needs and we're feeling tight, that could impact our menuchas nefesh. So therefore, it's true that when a person's in a situation that from a Munah perspective, we want to say, yes, there's spiritual growth to be found. We're not trying to say that spiritual growth can only be found when I have money. At the same time, we should recognize that the quest that many people have, and if it's a quest inside of you that you feel, especially if you feel like you're struggling to use more money, of like, having more money would give me more menuchas nefesh, and then you have a thought that says, wait, that goes against everything I've learned in the Torah. If I'm Eved Hashem, so then you have menuchas nefesh even without money, and you have bitachon in Hashem. That's not so clear. The Torah clearly says, right, that the impact that money has, and to daven for such a thing and to even have a kavana for such a thing is something which is devar ruchani. You're connecting to the Torah Kedosha through such a kavana. Regarding the question that was mentioned before, the first question was regarding how to experience menuchas nefesh when we don't have money. I believe that was the question that was answered, I think, so I think that connects to this comment that was heard, right? We ultimately want to be able to learn to experience menuchas nefesh in any situation that we're in, and therefore there is an avodah, and Bez Hashem in the chabura we learn about that. We dedicate numerous classes to understanding the architecture of the soul and to understand where menuchas nefesh is experienced within our soul and how to be able to connect to menuchas nefesh and what that feels like. And there is an avodah of being able to do that even when we don't have money, and that's what we should strive for. At the same time, if you feel like Hashem, I would have more menuchas nefesh if I had more money, go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Okay. One or two more questions. Okay, so if anyone needs to jump off, we love you very much, and thank you very much for coming. We are going to be following up with you. We recognize and appreciate your time. As part of wanting to be able to make sure that you guys are getting the most out of this, Bez Hashem, we're going to be in touch with you to offer an opportunity. If you want to be able to jump onto a call, to talk.
View the website to see the curriculum.
Okay, so we're going to post the website on the website. Thank you very much, Rabbi. On the website that you've been posted and will be sent out is the curriculum, so you can see everything that we're going to be going through in depth about the chabura, and a button to click and book a call if you want to be able to talk about the chabura, any points about the chabura, speak about something that you're struggling with, or you want greater clarity around connected to the chabura. We want to make sure that we can give you that attention. Otherwise, let's look at this question over here. Can you please clarify the goal of the chabura? Is it develop buy-in that work is spiritual and to reinforce our beliefs in the 6 kavanas? Does the course talk about how to address setbacks, developing and achieving goals, scaling our businesses through the lens of Torah? Great question. So there are...
Maybe there's another part here, someone's also had a setback in business.
Sure, one second.
Talking some maybe direction how to do
All the kavanah were part of my... Okay, the war prevented me from actualizing my business. Okay, the tax, okay. My lead employee became... Okay, sounds like a difficult situation. My website, okay. I want to know, I literally do not know how to proceed. I found the people... Okay, what do you advise? Okay, so thank you for asking this question. So as part of the work-inspired curriculum, it's a 2-year program. The chabura covers four essential foundations. A foundational education that any Yid, any Jew who's involved in Parnassa should have so clear in their minds. Right. The first one is foundations of our relationship with money, abundance, and wealth. We just spent the last number of months going through that, and that was dedicated to understanding how Hashem wants each Jew to live. Hashem wants us to live with lots of money. Hashem wants us to live with just with our needs, and to understand how to build an abundance mindset, and to learn practical tools how to be able to do that. The second part of the second foundation, which we're going to be starting Bez Hashem on May 12th, is to understand how Hashem wants us to work, right? Is to be able to work with a greater sense of clarity, purpose, energy, simcha, everything you've heard about. The 6 kavanas is the framework that we're going to be using that is really encapsulates the different kavanas and the different ways that we should be embodying our work experience. It does not touch upon practical strategies, how to be able to work on your business, work on your work-life balance, how to be more effective and more achievement. That is a topic that we speak about. It's more of our 4th foundation. The 3rd foundation is bitachon and ishtadlus, which is a deep dive into understanding in a very real way what does it mean to have bitachon. A foundational exploration of what the different opinions of bitachon, why we do ishtadlus, how to be able to make decisions, how much ishtadlus to do. So if you're worrying, if you're trying to figure that out, that's something that we go into depth in our 3rd foundation. And the 4th one is work-life balance, right? And work-life balance is how to be able to manage it all of our different roles. And there we go into depth about tools for productivity and how we can be able to achieve the most. We're not going to go into details right now, but I think that some of the points that you brought up over there that we'd speak more about in that part of the curriculum. So it's definitely essential. That's why it's part of our curriculum. But this particular unit that we're going to be going into, the season that we're going to be starting, is focused more around the six kavanas. Okay.
I'll just add, in regards to career growth, if we are in touch with consultants. If anyone does need any help with anything, we're in touch with consultants, and you could reach out to us. It is paid. It's not. It's just networking. So if anyone does need help with that and they would want to reach out, potentially we could put them in touch with a couple of consultants to
it's important. It's important to realize, that from besides for the Torah aspect of the chabura, part of what makes this very unique is, remember, Gerzi and myself are coming from a background of working with people practically in the area of parnasa. So whether it's helping people with businesses, myself coming from being a career coach, has helped hundreds of people to gain clarity about what types of jobs they should go into. Really, what this chabura is combining the Torah sugya into a practical understanding of how to be able to make these decisions. With that being said, within the avodas, as we talk about things like self-actualization, we're going to give you practical tools to be able to gain greater clarity about yourself. However, it does not replace more of doing more deeper consultant work, whether it's working with a coach, working with a consultant. So, you will gain practical tools for clarity to some extent while being part of the chabura. But the emphasis is trying to understand the Torah side of things and how to be able to infuse that into your day. Okay. So, with that, I guess, Aaron, any other questions for now? But what we'll do is that, so again, we want to thank you very much for tuning in. And Be'ez Hashem, we'll have a continued conversation for the men that are here, for the women that are here. Thank you so much for tuning in. We recognize this is a deeply important topic for you as well. And if, for whether it be your family members, anyone that that could take advantage, please pass the word over, and Be'ez Hashem will be in touch.